All right, well, I want to take a moment and introduce you to Scott Erwin. Scott has been, he's new to the church like I am, and so he's one of our nominations for elder. I'm excited to have someone who is also somewhat new to this community.
Thank you.
Because you bring a whole new perspective and fresh eyes that I think are valuable for us. Why don't you just tell everyone a little bit about your family and how long you've been here and how you found our church?
Yeah, so my family is my wonderful wife, Nita, and then my oldest daughter, Grace, who's 9, and my youngest, May, who's 6.
Yep.
And we moved to Summit in 2022, and shortly thereafter came to the church and have just really enjoy the people, the mission of the church, and are so excited to each year get a bit more involved and grateful for the opportunity here to do even more so. Because when I came in first, a lot of my involvement actually then was with my youngest, May, who
makes sense.
A COVID baby, shall we say, and it takes a while to settle. And so the first day we tried to drop her off with Melissa in that baby room was having none of it. So found myself staying incrementally longer to the point I just became a full-time member of Melissa's staff. For the first year.
And now Christine has you teaching summer Sunday school, huh?
Yeah. And so now my oldest felt left out, and so now have a couple years on joined Donald, who does great work with the 4th and 5th graders, and we're leading a class now with they start asking ask tough questions in 4th grade and 5th grade. It's getting real, but really enjoyed working with the children. And I mean, there are many strengths to the church, but I think Christine and what she does with our younger students, and that's really why I have exposure to date. It's just a real blessing to have her.
Well, and that's when I talk to people who've been at the church a long time, they all say they came here because of the children's ministry, preschool and children's ministry, and got involved. And many, the rest of our elder board, many of them also, their kids were raised in the church. And now, for many of our elders, their kids are launched. They're in college or young adults, and so it's great to have someone like you on the team because you're still in that parenting journey with kids in elementary school, and so
a lot to learn. Looking for tips from those that have been here before.
Yeah. Well, would you mind talking a little bit about just your life story and your faith journey? What's shaped you and formed you to now be at a position where you can lead spiritually?
No, thank you. I mean, God has been such a blessing, to me in my life. I grew up in Kansas City, home of great barbecue.
Right, the other kind of barbecue.
Yeah. We've agreed to disagree. I think largely on this front, and a pretty good football team, although. Maybe not this last year, and moved out actually to the East Coast, and didn't grow up actually really going to church with much of a faith. But in my early 20s, actually had quite a dramatic event where my life was saved by the grace of God, and since then has really put me on just a remarkable faith journey.
God got your attention.
Yes, yeah. Sometimes people need a tap. Sometimes they need a shove. Maybe I was stubborn than most, And first stop was New York, where I worked for a little bit after undergrad, where I met Nita most importantly.
Sure.
And second, the kind of office I was in was a block away from where this upstart church called Redeemer was kicking off. So I was able to duck in the back.
A lot of Redeemer connections.
Yeah.
Providence.
No. It was a real blessing. And then Nita and I went out actually to England, where I did a doctorate in theology, and so kind of had academic license to pursue a personal passion, which was fantastic. And then we actually lived in London for the next decade, where had a really great professional experience, but personally got involved in 2 really good churches that I think taught Nita and I a bit more how to live in Christian community, and really learned a lot there. The girls were born there, and then we during COVID decided to come back to the U.S. and are really excited now to be involved with New Providence Presbyterian and learning to love and be a part of this community.
We're so glad you're here. For all of you listening, Scott was really helpful last fall when I first came here to work with our session, our elders, to talk about our vision. And so thank you for that work. And that kind of prompted us to say, hey, this guy might be helpful to be on our elder team going forward. And so he's nominated for that role. And then why don't you just talk a little bit about, as you think about coming on to Session and where the church is going over the next few years, what are you excited about in the life of our church?
I mean, like Kyle, knows so much. I mean, it just feels like a really rich opportunity to be involved in this church, as it, I think really looks to expand its reach within this community that, like many communities in our country are in desperate need, I think, of Christian witness and friendship, and support. But combined with that, a real passion, I think, in this church for discipleship, for growing our faith, for, whether it be with our head, theologically, with our heart, loving one another, with our hands, volunteering, where we can. A real sense that this church, to me, has a great balance of going deep, with spiritually ourselves and our community, but going wide, trying to really be a light, unto others. And in addition to that kind of moment, as maybe someone who lived in England and likes old stuff, I love the fact that, we're also kind of organizing around a really exciting milestone coming forward. I mean, Luke, you've painted a fantastic vision for moving to our 300th anniversary as a church.
2037.
2037.
It's coming.
Yeah, we talked about it. My youngest will be 18 then. So this is a milestone for many reasons. But just the thought that, even today we're on a spot where for 3 centuries Christians have been gathering, being lights unto the world, and it's both exciting but also a sense of responsibility. I think that extends beyond our lifetimes to really wanting to continue that stewardship into this next century.
Yeah, and I think we all feel that responsibility in saying, okay, God, we just want to be faithful with it. So man, well said. I love the deep and wide. I think oftentimes we think it's a false choice. You either go deep or you go wide, but we're saying no. We feel like we're called to do both. Go
have it
deep
all
and go wide. So, man, really excited to have you.
Likewise, thank you.
On board, and for everyone, for you to get a chance to know Scott. I know he's new. When you see him around the church and his family, please continue to get to know him. Say hello. Introduce yourselves. We're looking forward to this upcoming congregational meeting. I hope that you all come and are a part of it on that Sunday. A lot happening in the life of the church, but we need you to be engaged and to be fully a part of what's happening. So thank you, and thank you, Scott.
Thank you.